The snap, they're going to give it to Irvin. Irvin untouched up the middle for a touchdown. Drew Irvin, third rushing touchdown of the game. Center takes the snap. He's looking to pass at the design quarterback run. He keeps now out across the 20 to the 15 to the 10 to the 5, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Cole Benner. They give it up to Smith, and there's a fumble. Ball's on the ground. Otterbein has it. Austin Jones recovers.
Live from the studios of 33 College View, it's time for the Tim Doup Coaches Show on 97.5 WOBN. The Coaches Show is brought to you by Westerville Automotive, Ohio Health, Roush Honda, and BMI Federal Credit Union. Now, along with head football coach Tim Doup, here's your host, David Kender.
Good afternoon and welcome into the studios of 33 College View for this week's Tim Doup Coaches Show. I'm David Kender. We thank you for listening on air on 97.5, online at WOBN.net, or on WOBN's YouTube page. The season premiere of the Tim Doup Coaches Show, Season 2. And, of course, we're joined in studio with head football coach Tim Doup, entering his fourth season as the man in charge here in Westerville. And coming back again for another year on the show is senior center and team captain Grant Noppenberg. So good to have both of you with us. Coach, Season 2 of the Coaches Show, you know, it was such a big success last year. We had to bring you back for another year.
Oh, I'm excited. You know, new year, new beginning. Here we go.
Before we dive too much into the start of camp and looking forward to next season, let's talk about some of the things that happened in this offseason. Of course, it was the 6th annual Lawrence First and Goal back in June, which again this year raised a lot of money for a good cause, $12,000 for cancer research. And I know it's an event you always look forward to, Coach.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's a great thing to get all these seniors, and not only seniors, but, you know, we have freshmen through coming in to be a freshman, through seniors here, a lot of exposure for our campus. But not only that, it's just for a great cause. You know, the coaches work for free, and all the volunteers and every money, you know, in 6 hours we can make $12,000. And Urban Meyer was here. So, you know, he made an appearance, was our guest speaker. Did a great job, so obviously that's always a bigger draw when people find out he's going to be here. But it was a good success, and obviously look forward to doing it again next year.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to say the second most famous coach in Central Ohio was on campus talking with us. I know that had to be really excited to get to hear him talk and give a lecture. I know that had to be real exciting for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, he always brings that little bit of intensity when he talks. I mean, he's very... You know, he has a goal in mind when he talks, and I think he gave a great speech to, you know, directed towards the athletes and parents and what he looks for and the things that we can do. Even here at Otterbein, him and I had a chance to talk for quite a while before he even went out, and, you know, he had a lot of questions for me about what was going on and things like that. And, you know, away from campus, you know, he's a little bit, you know, relaxes a little bit more, and we had a good time with him.
Off-season almost officially over. We'll start this Saturday. We'll have the first home game of the season with Buffalo State. This offseason was an offseason of a lot of change, not just for the players, but also for you, Coach, for the first time in your life, switching to the defensive side of the ball. Now that you've had a whole camp under your belt on the defensive side, how's the move been?
Well, it's interesting. It's different on the defensive side of the ball. I find myself getting a little bit more fired up, and but you know, I've enjoyed it. Do I miss my O linemen? Absolutely. You know, I've coached those guys for 3 years, and you know, like Grant that's with me, I've coached him, you know, his freshman, sophomore, and junior year, but he's in good hands. You know, Andy Freeze has come in and he was an All-American for me in 2008, and he's done a great job of molding these guys and maybe, you know, even creating a little bit more of a fire under them, so it's not always the same old with Coach Doup. It's, you know, he's a little bit more younger and feistier, and he gets after it. So, but defense, you know, coaching defense for the first time in my career, you know, again, coaching linebackers. So, you know, those are the guys that got to be a little bit nasty, and, you know, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a learning experience, but it's also a lot of fun and gets my juices flowing again.
Grant, Coach talked about it a little bit. Your first 3 years on campus, he was your positional coach. Now he's gone. You're starting over. He mentioned it. Andy Freeze, a former Cardinal All-American. How has the change been for you having a different position coach this year in Coach Freeze?
It's definitely been a lot different. I think Coach Freeze is a great coach. He played here, so he knows most of the offense and everything. And I miss Coach Doup, but he does bring a little more intensity, which which helps us out a lot during team and just getting each other fired up. And it's a lot different having just your own position coach, because, when Coach Doup was with us, he was obviously worried about us, but then he was worried about the whole team too. And it's a lot different having somebody who's just focused on us as a group.
Personality-wise, what's the biggest difference between having Coach Doup and Coach Freeze being your O-line coach?
He's a little more, I don't know how to say it. He's
feistier,
yeah,
probably.
he's feistier. Yeah, definitely. He loves to get after it during our individual drills, and he's getting excited during team when we break a long run or make a good play. So yeah, I think I like it a lot.
Now, Coach Freeze played for Coach Doup back in the day, so I imagine you can probably see a little bit of Coach Doup in Coach Freeze.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely. He a lot of the same techniques that we work and everything. So yeah, definitely a lot of the same.
You were named one of the 4 captains heading into your senior year, an honor voted by your teammates. That had to be a nice way going into your senior year, a little bump of confidence, knowing that your teammates put that much confidence in you.
Yeah, it's definitely nice. I still need to work a little bit on being a little more vocal, but it's definitely nice. That my teammates have that confidence in me to step up and be a leader.
Last week was the first time you got to go in a scrimmage and finally hit someone in a different colored uniform. You guys took on Ohio Wesleyan at Memorial Stadium. Overall, how did you feel that the team did in the exhibition?
Overall, I think it was just different. We were playing on a Thursday night, so a lot of us were getting done with a long day of classes, and it wasn't just a fresh start on a Saturday morning. So I think we were all, a little tired from the day, but I think we got some good things out of it. I think definitely we'll be ready to come out this weekend and come out with a little fire to us.
Coach, that scrimmage isn't exactly like a regular game. It's run a little bit differently, but in the first half, with most of the starters in there, the final was 20-7 throughout the scrimmage. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. What were your overall thoughts of the scrimmage with OU?
Well, I think, with us, offensively, we did some things I liked. I liked our tempo and some of the things we're doing, but we shot ourselves in the foot a couple times, which caused us, points on the board. Defensively, we were playing some guys that have done well in camp, but we were also missing some other guys that we pulled early in the scrimmage. So, it was good for us to see a lot of different guys on film, to see basically can they do it on game day. That's what I look at scrimmages about, is to play some guys that, are they tweeners? Can they do it, when the bullets are flying? So I think we learned a lot there as to, we think who can play and maybe who needs to develop a little bit more. But overall, obviously disappointed, in the first half, but there's a lot more things that go into my mind when we're scrimmaging than just trying to win.
You used a number of quarterbacks in the scrimmage, still the battle underway. Did it help clear things up for you in the quarterback battle, or did it make it more difficult?
No, I think we have a pretty good idea as where we're at with that, going into this game. They've all do something very well, and that's the bad thing. If you could mold all 3 of them into one person, we'd be outstanding. But some guys read better, some guys run better, some guys throw better. So we're just trying to figure out, what's best for us right now, and who to lean on with the starter. Probably Kevin has a edge right now just because he's so familiar with the offense, and he's done some good things. But I think Joey and Noah and Ousley, they do some good things too. So if something would happen, or I think there's going to be a battle going on for quite a while.
Grant, of course, the center-quarterback relationship is very important on the field. How have you seen the quarterbacks progress from the beginning of camp to now?
I think they've definitely all gotten a lot better. They, like Coach Doup said, they all have a different quality that makes them better than the other. But I don't know. I think it'll be we'll find the right guy, and he'll be able to help us out a lot.
Coach, getting back to the defensive side of the ball, Thursday scrimmage was the first time we got to see Drew Irvin at his new position as well as linebacker. How did you think he did in his first time on D?
Well, you could tell it was his first first scrimmage. I think when the bullets started flying, he did some things that he didn't do all camp, that we got to fix. But, the physicality, I mean, he can run. I mean, he's strong, he's big, and he can run. And then the other stuff, it's got to come with that, the tackling and your reads and things like that, those have still got to come. But, overall, I don't think he was very happy with the way he played, to be honest, because I was with him in film, and obviously I wanted a little bit more. So I think there's a little bit more fire this week to, especially going in against Buff State.
Lastly, Coach, coming out of camp and going into preparation for week 1, are there any freshmen or even transfers who we might not know very well that we could see getting a lot of playing time in the season?
I think, obviously quarterback-wise, Noah Durst is in that mix, the transfer from Wittenberg. JT Grega at Z for us at wide receiver. He's going to be in the mix, and obviously Joey Beatty's a transfer, but he played for us 2 years ago. He's back from OU. At receiver, and then Julian Lowe, transfer from Akron, at wide receiver. You will probably be able to see him quite a bit. On defense, trying to think off the top of my mind, Austin Williams is a transfer on defense on the D line, and right now those are the transfer guys. As far as freshmen go, I think you'll see some freshmen on special teams. I don't know if any of them have broke the starting lineup yet, but I do believe there's some of them in there that could be, legit backups or even play some special teams for us.
Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll look forward to this Saturday's matchup with Buffalo State, and we'll preview the Bengals. You're listening to the Tim Doup Coaches Show on 97.5 WOBN.
Fewer than 5 out of 100 people give blood. Ever wonder why they do it?
It's the one thing that we can do that we can always afford to do, and hey, you get a snack afterwards. So
snacks are great. I never knew my blood type, and I found out in doing this that I'm O negative, so there's that added pressure knowing that everyone can use my blood at any time, and so I feel like it's my responsibility.
It's a little extra bragging power, too, knowing that you're a universal giver.
Yeah, I'm pretty special.
Call 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit redcrossblood.org to make an appointment today.
Hi, I'm Cole Benner, senior wide receiver, and you're listening to the Tim Doup Coaches Show on 97.5 WOBN. Miss anything from today's show? You can listen to every episode on WOBN's YouTube page.
On the Cardinal Sports Wrap, you won't hear any of this or this. Nope, just two dudes talking about grown men wearing tights throwing around balls. Manly things.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
The Cardinal Sports Wrap, playing none of America's best music. Catch it Mondays 5 to 7, only on 97.5 WOBN. Hey Cardinal fans, Otterbein Athletics on the Radio is brought to you in part by Westerville Automotive. Serving the Westerville area for 20 years, they have 2 locations on Westerville Road and in the Uptown area, just seconds away from Otterbein on Main Street. They're on the web at westervilleautomotive.com. You can follow them on Facebook at Westerville Automotive Uptown or call them at 614-890-6700.
I used to be one of those irresponsible guys, always goofing off and acting like a real jerk. Girls wouldn't give me the time of day. Hey, Julie, do you have the time?
Shut up.
Then, 30 days before my 18th birthday, I went down to my local post office and registered with Selective Service overnight.
I became aware of the man I had suddenly become, eligible for federal student loans, government jobs, and job training, responsible and mature. Hi, Julie. Dinner tonight?
I'd love to, Brad.
So register with Selective Service. It's what a man's gotta do.
These are the sounds of someone taking their eyes off the road. Texting while driving is more than distracting. It's dangerous. Do yourself a favor. Do us all a favor. When you're on the road, stay off the phone. A message from CTIA, America's Wireless Companies, and the National Safety Council.
Welcome back to the season premiere of the Tim Doup Coaches Show here on 97.5 WOBN. Week 1 is finally upon us, and the Cardinals open up their 126th season of football, taking on another New York team, this time in the Bengals of Buffalo State, 8-3 last year. Coach, we talked about it a little bit last year in the last episode of the Coaches Show when we found out that Buffalo State was going to be the Week 1 opponent. But how did you pick the Bengals to open up the season?
Well, we were looking for we weren't going to renew with St. John Fisher, and we put it out there, and then we saw a posting that they were looking for one. So, it's just hard to find those opening games when you're only looking for one game. And, so I just made a phone call, and he – we talked about it, and he said he was open, and let's do this. So it's pretty. I hate finding games. I mean, it's a pain in the rear end, but you just got to mix and match, and we just happened to fall into it. So they were open, we were open, and just connected, and here we go.
I believe we've talked with you before. You'd much rather play an NCAC team or someone local in Ohio than travel far away for a game or bring in a team from far away, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes it easier. Traveling, I mean, obviously they're coming here this year, but then we're going to have to turn around and go back to Buffalo next year. But it's hard to find, some schools in Ohio that, most time everybody's booked. So you got to go with what you can find and run with it.
Grant, before we dive into the X's and O's of the first game of your senior season, let's talk about what's really important to the players, brand new uniforms. So I know when you get to take the field on Saturday, you'll get brand new Nike uniforms. I know that's real important to the players and has to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. I mean, it's definitely something everybody's been hoping for. I know since I've been a freshman here, there's always been a rumor about it. And then last year when Coach Doup called a meeting, we all didn't know what it was for, and then he surprised us with those, which was pretty awesome. So we're pretty excited to put those on.
And can't wait to get to see them. They look very sharp. We got to see you guys down here a few weeks ago when you were doing station promos in them. And they're very nice uniforms. Coach, now that you're on the defensive side of the ball, you have to scout the offense a lot more than probably in past years. So offensively, what can we expect to see from the Bengals in Game 1?
Oh, they're going to line up and try to mash it right down our throat. They got 5 starters back on offense on the O-line, and their tight ends back. They're very big. They're big and very physical. Big fullback, very good tailback, returning quarterback. So, they only lose 3 guys from last year, and that was their tailback and 2 wide receivers. But the tailback they're going to have in there, we've seen on film, is very, very good. Quarterback is going to be a junior, so and he's run the show there. They're very good, handing it off, play action. Not a lot, not your typical 4 wide. Slinging it all over the place. These guys line up and with a tight end and with a fullback, and they just try to ram it down your throat.
You talked about their quarterback and Kyle Hoppy, who's returning for his junior year.
Oh.
Started in all 10 games last year for the Bengals. Fairly effective as a thrower, 22 touchdowns, second in the Empire 8, only to Tyler Fenty of St. John Fisher, who we saw in week 1 of last year. So what kind of quarterback is he?
I mean, he's very good. I mean, he runs the show. You can tell when he's audibling, he does some good things, puts him in good position. He can keep the ball and run. I mean, that's one thing too. I mean, he can tuck it and go, but he can also throw the deep ball. And they've got some very good wide receivers that'll go up and make catches. And that's the thing you got to stop is the big play. We've got to work on stopping the big play and make them drive the football.
You talked about Hoppy's talented receivers to throw to, and most notably is probably Mike Daughtry, who was the leader in the Empire 8 in receiving yards last year, 104 yards a game, and he's a real deep threat guy. How are you going to try to slow him down?
Well, he's gone. So we just found out their 2 top receivers from last year that both had over 1,000 yards are not coming. They're gone. One was a senior. We thought one was the junior, but we found out and got their 2 deep today, and neither one of them are on it. So their 2 top receivers are gone. But I'll tell you, with the athleticism they have running around at wide receiver, they'll replace them and be very, very effective.
New news to me, but I'm sure they'll find someone to fill
Oh,
in
there's
with.
no doubt in my mind they will.
Defensively, we knew that Austin Jones was banged up and he had to miss this scrimmage. Can we expect to see him in the lineup for the season opener?
Austin Jones is back.
He's back.
I will say that right now. Yes, he will be playing. He practiced for the first time on Saturday, full go, full hitting, and it looked like he didn't miss a beat. So Austin is healthy and ready to go.
Grant, taking a look at the defensive side of the ball for the Bengals, based on scouting reports and film that you watch, how can we expect to see the Bengals line up against you guys?
They run a couple different fronts, and I think everything they do, they play with a lot of intensity. They're quick off the ball. Their one linebacker, I think 21.
Yep.
He's a
All-American.
preseason All-American, which he's always he's flying around. He's in on almost every tackle on film, and he's flying around. And I think they're a pretty good defense.
You talked about him. Marquise Artis, one of the biggest stars on their defensive side of the team, preseason All-American, the returning Empire 8 Defensive Player of the Year. How do you slow someone like that down?
Just scheme, I guess. I mean, you gotta look to try to run the ball maybe away from him, and then anytime just try to get as much contact with him as you can. If you can just get a hand on him, maybe just try and stick with him. Try not to let him get to the ball.
Based on what you've seen so far in film from them, do they have a weak spot that you think Otterbein could try to exploit?
Watching film so far, I haven't really seen any weak spots. I mean, there have been a couple plays where I've noticed their D-line is definitely getting tired and gassed later in the game, which maybe we could gash them there. But, I mean, other than that, they're pretty good defense. They're big up front, so they'll be
very big.
Coach, were you?
Yeah, very big.
Would you say one of the biggest lines we'll see this year?
I would say,
Absolutely.
yeah, they're two defensive. Well, I got one defensive end that's 6'5", 290. The other one's 6'4", 250, and then their nose is 6'3", 280. So they're big, and they're all seniors. All three of their linebackers are seniors. They start 10 seniors on defense. So, this is a senior-laden team, and they've got 8 seniors on offense. So, 18 of their starters are seniors and very veteran, and, it's going to be a big challenge for us. It really is. And, but we're looking forward to it. And, there's some things I think we can do offensively and defensively to take, to maybe take advantage of some things that they do.
Last question for offense, Coach. We've been accustomed to seeing running back by committee in the past few years. We know we have 2 very talented returning running backs in John Piles and Speedy Hammond. Should we expect to see the same type of running back game?
I would say with those two, yes. We don't have the big bruisers, running anymore. We, obviously Drew went over to the other side, but with, Tyler Hammond or #Speedy,
it's official in the media guide now.
Everybody, we got to just say Speedy. But with him and Johnny, that 1-2 punch, I think last year we were rotating 4 tailbacks, and, those two will be the main the ball carriers now, and they'll get in more of a rhythm. But we do have some younger guys that have really looked pretty good. So if something happens to one of those two, obviously we think we've got some guys behind them that can really help us.
I know special teams always a big point of emphasis for you, and this year we're going to have a new person punting the ball and a new person kicking the ball. Can you tell us who's going to be manning those positions?
Bryson Ray will probably be our punter. If something happens to him, Joe Sanfilippo's a freshman. Can obviously step in and punt. I mean, he can punt really, really well. So, punting-wise, I feel really confident. Right now I think Ween is going to be kicking off for us. I mean, he's done a great job in camp putting him in the end zone. And then PAT extra point, we've got 4. We got 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores, and, they've been battling it out. And, we're still, to be honest, we're still battling that position out this week to charting everything and to see who that's going to be.
Otterbein kicks off this Saturday at 1:30 at Memorial Stadium. You can hear that game live right here on 97.5 WOBN or streaming live on WOBN.net. I'll have all the play-by-play. Coming up, we'll review some of college football's major headlines, and we'll get Grant and Coach's answer to Columbus's bigger question, JT Barrett or Cardell Jones. You're listening to the Tim Doup Coaches Show here on 97.5 WOBN. We'll be right back.
Football is a sport that unites fans, players, and coaches alike in a spirit of competition and camaraderie. Football season has come to our area, and while you're watching a game with friends or sharing in the excitement with family, be sure to celebrate responsibly. Never pick up the keys and drive if you've had too much to drink. And if you're 21, drinking alcohol is against the law. Remember, alcohol is different. Let's all work together to keep our roads and community safe and have a winning season.
Catch the Cardinals Sports Wrap with David Kinder and Elijah Gonzalez every Monday from 5 to 7. It's America's best sports talk radio show. Even Jim Harbaugh says so.
Yeah, I would agree. Can't disagree with that.
Every Monday from 5 to 7, only on WOBN 97.5.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
Football
I want to be
stadium.
a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Would your business survive a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
Can't make it to one of the football games this year? Well, WOBN has you covered with live broadcast of all 10 football games this year, home and away. Join us 30 minutes before kickoff for pregame and stay with us long after the final whistle for analysis and updates on what else happened in college football. It's all right here on 97.5 WOBN and streaming live anywhere in the world on WOBN.net. Welcome back to the final segment on 97.5 WOBN, the season premiere of the Tim Doup Coaches Show, and it's time now where we get coach and a player, in this case senior center Grant Noppenberger's opinion on something related not to Otterbein football, but usually Division I college football, and one of the biggest question marks around Columbus this offseason, not only who's going to be the quarterback of Otterbein, but who's going to be the quarterback of that big state school down south in the Ohio State Buckeyes. And Urban Meyer and his reigning national champions have two talented candidates in J.T. Barrett and Cardale Jones. We thought it was going to be a three-horse race, but we learned a few weeks ago that Braxton Miller would be switching to wide receiver. So it's down to two, and we'll dive right into it. Coach, who's going to get the job against Virginia Tech?
I believe I think it's going to be J.T., playing with all that experience. And don't get me wrong, Cardale was phenomenal in those last three games. But I think just with a little bit more experience and some things, I think JT will be the starter. But the one thing I will say is I believe Jones will play also. I have a feeling there's going to be two different packages, and I really believe against Virginia Tech you're going to see both of them.
So you're thinking like a two-quarterback system, sort of like what Urban did in 07 with Florida with Chris Leak and Tim Tebow?
Yeah. I think there's going to be something that people don't know about. I think that's why he's been so hush-hush, to be honest. I think they're both going to play in some capacity. I just don't, you just don't know which way. But I think you're going to see at one point. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw all three of them with Braxton on the field at the same time. I'm just throwing it out there.
Do you think before that Labor Day game we're going to know who quarterback is, or it's going to be a surprise after the opening kickoff?
I think you're going to see who runs on the field. I don't think he's going to say a word.
No announcement coming.
I don't think so.
Just
I
whoever
think it's
goes out
game
and leads the
day.
huddle.
They're all going to be in the huddle when the offense takes the field, and one of them's going to break out of that huddle and come out.
Grant, you're nodding your head. Do you agree with Coach Doup? Is that what's going to happen on Monday?
Yeah, I believe so. Definitely.
Do you think it's going to be?
I think it'll be JT.
JT.
I'd like to see Cardale continue what he finished last season, but I think definitely JT with all of his experience and how well he throws the ball. So.
What about the move for Braxton decide to not play quarterback this year and switch to wide receiver?
I don't know. I definitely think it was a good move for him considering, it was a 3-quarterback race. So, I think it'll definitely help him get on the field more, and we'll definitely have that a more of an outside threat with him out there and his speed and and his footwork. So it'll be good.
I think it's the best move in America right now because of all the suspensions and people breaking. Was it Brown?
Noah Brown broke his leg.
Breaks his leg. They've got suspensions, everything. I think it's the best move and that's hindsight, but. He was doing it anyway, but now I think it really helps him.
And it can only boost his draft stock going into next year for
absolutely.
the NFL.
I mean, being able to do some of the things he can do, there's no doubt in my mind.
Well, it should be a very exciting start to the OSU season, and it's a game on Monday, so we all get to watch it because Otterbein playing on Saturday, of course. Well, thank you guys for joining us in studio for the season premiere of the Tim Doup Coaches Show. Reminder that you can, if you missed anything from today's show, you can catch this episode and every episode this year on WOBN's YouTube page. And don't forget to tune in this Saturday for the big game live from Memorial Stadium. You can catch it, the kickoff at 1:30. Join us for our pregame coverage at 1 o'clock. For head football coach Tim Doup and senior center Grant Noppenberger, I'm David Kinder saying so long till next time.